Hi, my name is MBelenPR and I am a postdoctoral student at Stanford University in the neurology department. I study the consequences of status epilepticus, and today I'm going to show you how to make a box plot in Python. We're going to compare one variable in two conditions at one time point. First, I'm going to explain to you what a box plot is. A box plot serves to display the distribution of numerical data. When you see a box plot, you can identify the median and the interquartile range of the data. In other words, you will be able to identify 25% of your data below and above the median in the interquartile range and your data maximum and minimum values. Before we start coding, I'm going to give you some background about the data we're going to use. So I studied the morphological and functional consequences of status epilepticus, and whether these changes can lead to epilepsy. So it is known in humans and other animal models that after status epilepticus there is neuronal degeneration. All that means is that there's a decreased number of neurons. So my hypothesis is that in my model of status epilepticus, I'm going to find a decreased number of neurons 10 days after the induction of status epilepticus. To test my hypothesis, I obtained brain sections from 4 mice in control and 4 mice with status epilepticus. Those are my two conditions, control and status epilepticus. Then I do immunoreactivity and use NUN, which is an antibody which will identify and stain the neurons. Once I do this process, I use confocal microscopy to get the images of the brain sections so I can see the neurons and then I count them. Yeah, so now the total number of neurons per section or per brain slice, it's going to be our data. So we have 10 sections for control and 7 sections for status epilepticus. Then, to generate the plot in Python, we will use Jupyter, which is a very visual and convenient way to program. Also, if you are considering a job in the industry, this is one of the tools that you will likely use every day. One thing that makes Jupyter great for beginners is that you don't have to install anything. So you just go to jupyter.org and you can start right away. So let's do that. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and then we're going to find either Jupyter.org or Jupyter Lab online. Then we can open Jupyter Lab. Opening. Yeah, there we go. So we can choose a notebook. And now let's find out some examples about box plots. And I'm going to try on Matplotlib. So let's go to the Geeks for Geeks website and they do have an example there. So let's use their script. And let's test if this script is working. And now we need to wait for internet and my computer to respond. So as long as you have the asterisk there, this means that it is still calculating it. So no worries. Okay, yeah, it's working. Yeah, now let's try to to make some modifications. And by the way, you don't need to copy and paste again the import matplotlib and the import numpy. You can just get rid of those. So as I said, we have 2 sets of data. So let's try first if running the program with 2 sets of data works. And yep, it's working. So let's see. Yeah, as I said, we don't need to import matplotlib and numpy again. So let's try out something else. They are creating random numbers, so we don't need that part again. This is just to have a clean script. Yeah, it's working. Okay, now here comes the most exciting part. Yay, our data. So let's define first our data, and let's keep the same format. Let's put the parentheses. And yeah, these are the number of neurons per cortical section that I counted. So let's get rid of the random data that was created before, and let's define our data as control and experiment. Yeah, we need to make sure that they are wrote in exactly the same way, otherwise they won't be recognized. So let's run it, and yeah, there it is. Okay, now that it's working, let's check what we're doing. So first we're adding our data, and we are dividing it in control and experiment. Then we define our data, control and experiment. And then there's this part which is the figure size. So here we have some created access instance. I have no idea what's that, but we can check that later. And then this is to create your plot, and this is so you can see your plot. It can show your plot. Something I don't like is that I don't see the axis, like the numbers. And I remember that in the example, they will show us the axis, the numbers. And also below every box, they will have one number. So let's see if we change the size of the plot, that will work. No. Okay, so let's see what's this, because as I said, I'm not familiar with this. So let's look for that. You can either go directly to matplotlib or the other Geek for Geeks program, or whatever program you think is good. So let's read what they say. Yeah, my internet is slow. Okay, there we go. So, access function. So this accept the following parameters that are described below. Is the dimensions of the new axis, left bottom width height, projection type of the 2 axes. Okay, left bottom width height, I think it's that one. Label, how many, what are the values they have? Okay, add axis. So all of them are below 0. And we had 0 and 0s and 1. So let's try to reduce the numbers. Let's try 0.25 for both zeros. And let's try, 0.5. Okay, it worked. Yeah, there they are. That's something new for me. So what if we cancel that? Like, what if we don't add that one? Oh, okay, we need it. Yeah, feel free to play with these, like those numbers, and see how they're changing. So now let's do the other example, which seems to be more exciting because it has colors and stuff like that. So let's bring the code, and first let's see if it works. So let's run it. Yep, yeah, it's working. Okay, so now let's get rid of the things we don't need. And let's try out our dataset. So let's bring it. And now let's see what are the other things we need to change. So they have creating axis instance, they have colors, they have line width of the whiskers, of the caps, of the medians, and changing style of flyers. And yeah, here the x-axis labels. Yeah, so let's change those. Adding a title. Adding a title. And yeah, we can also put that our title, but let's see first. Yeah, it's working. So I don't know, let's try to play with some stuff. So let's get rid of the other 4 colors they have, and let's see if we change this one, like which is the code for the colors. So yeah, let's see what color is this one. Okay, yellow. Okay, let's do some last things together. There are some things that I don't like, and I think these are the notches. So let's change the value. They have true, so let's go for false and see if that works. If it works, then I'll be very happy. Yes. Okay, so I like this better. So it depends on what you want. And also the last thing, let's add the title of our graph. And there we go. You already know how to change the title and how to make them like with colors. You can just like try to play with the codes there and see if they're working or not. And try to change now the line width of the whiskers, of the median. Try to change all of the parameters and see if they're working or not, so you can get a better idea of this script. And yeah, and also try, like the last thing is try to make them vertical because we are having them horizontal. So make them vertical. Well, congratulations, you just created a Boxplot. Now I'm going to give you 2 challenges. One will be to make the plots, instead of horizontal, make them vertical. And then the second one, try to see if changing the color numbers for blue, magenta, or yellow will work. And that's it. Good luck and happy coding!